Thank you for joining us tonight. You're now with me, Cheryl Shametro, for TVS Nightline. Let's begin with this update tonight. Barisan Nasional (BN) has reclaimed Malacca as the ruling party after a landslide victory in Malacca's polls. They obtained 20 out of 28 seats, making a clear win at 10:43 p.m. as announced by the Election Commission EC Chairman Dato' Abdul Ghani Saleh. Among the seats won by BN are Paya Rumput, Serkam, Gade, Telok Mas and Pantai Kudor, to name a few. Pakatan Harapan PH admitted defeat amidst the poll, having won only 5 seats, while Perikatan Nasional (PN) were left with only 2 seats. Abdul Ghani also said the polling process for the election went smoothly. And during the 2018 Malacca state polls, PH won 15 seats, while BN won 13 seats. On the other hand, Gabungan Party Sarawak or GPS Chairman Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng said names of those fielded as candidates for the upcoming state election will be announced when it is time to do so. GPS is currently focusing on strengthening its election machinery as the state election day draws nearer.
Semalam kita ada mesyuarat TVB dan malam semalam kita melengkapkan ataupun mengaturkan persediaan kita untuk menghadapi pilihan raya.
When asked whether GPS has already had a full list of candidates contesting, he responded swiftly.
Calon tunggu dulu, jangan rush bila.
To strengthen the state finances in hopes to make Sarawak a developed state by 2030, the Sarawak government has proposed the creation of a sovereign wealth fund to source more state income. Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng said a proposal paper on the Sarawak Sovereign Wealth Fund has been completed and will be implemented after it has been passed by the State Assembly.
Ya, kerajaan negeri bercadang untuk menubuhkan sovereign fund. Sebelum sovereign fund ditubuh, kita akan membuat kajian dulu. Ini adalah untuk masa depan kehidupan kewangan di Sarawak untuk generasi masa depan. Saya dekat ini tidak dapat mengambil butiran, tetapi dalam masa 5 tahun akan datang, sebenarnya saya sudah ada paper oleh pihak yang pakar. Dan ini sedang dikaji kita dan ini berkenaan keputusan Dewan Undangan Negeri. Kita akan bawa kepada Dewan Undangan Negeri untuk kelulusan. Dan kalau mandat diberi kepada kita, Sarawak is guaranteed for the future.
The Gabungan Party Sarawak or GPS hopes the Election Commission EC will allow physical campaign for the upcoming state polls. This was in view of the state's expansive landscape and its limited internet and telecommunications coverage. GPS Secretary-General Dato' Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said it will be difficult for candidates to campaign in the interior areas if campaigning is only allowed via the electronic and social media, though it was the practice for the Malacca polls. If the SOP for campaigning is relaxed, Nanta added it would be beneficial to the candidates and political parties involved. But at the same time, SOPs made by the EC should be complied with to curb the spread of COVID-19. For the record, the SOP set for the Malacca state election included no face-to-face campaigning by the candidates and party machinery, no gatherings, no talks, and no house-to-house visits. He said this during the official opening of the Kapit branch office of the National Institute of Occupational Safe and Health, NIOSH, Sarawak region. Also present was NIOSH Chairman Dr. Wilson Uga Kumbong. The EC will hold a meeting next Wednesday to discuss on the writ to be issued, nomination and polling dates, the voter register to be used, and other related matters. Meanwhile, Several incumbent state assemblymen from Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu (PBB) have opted not to defend their seats in the coming 12th Sarawak state election. PBB Secretary General Dato Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said they made their intentions known at the party's Supreme Council meeting, which was chaired by PBB President and Chief Minister Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg last night.
Ya, ada yang menawarkan sukarela yang berhormat Ketua Menteri atau Presiden Parti telah merekapkan setinggi penghargaan kepada mereka yang sukarela dengan rela dirilah mengundur diri beri peluang kepada muka baru.
However, he declined to reveal the actual number of incumbent assemblymen who offered not to defend their seats. Earlier, 3 incumbents from PBB, Dato Abdul Wahab Aziz in Malacca, Dato Naruddin Majais Gedong and Dato Ambrose Blikau Enturan Katibas had announced their intentions to not contest in the upcoming state polls. He said their decisions were in line with PBB's plan to field new faces as part of the party's continuing renewal process to maintain its legacy of excellence as the backbone of the Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS administration.
Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu (PBB) has submitted a list of its prospective candidates who will contest in the 12th Sarawak State Election (PRN) to the authorities for vetting purposes. PBB Secretary General Dato Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said the measures were taken to ensure the credibility and integrity of all candidates who will be announced during the nomination day, thus proving PBB's commitment to present credible leaders as the people's representatives.
Calon PBB yang dipilih untuk bertanding kelab, semua penyandang dan calon-calon cadangan atau potential candidates akan ditapis oleh Jabatan Insolvensi, PDRM atau Polis dan SPRM.
Nanta made a statement after the PBB Supreme Council meeting held last night. The Supreme Council meeting, which started at 8 p.m, went on over for 2 hours and was attended by PBB Chairman Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg and other main leaders from the party. Commenting further, Nanta, who is also the Kapit Member of Parliament, said that the meeting, among others, discussed preparations for the 12th state election, which will be held soon. He added that PBB will contest in 47 state assembly seats and will also feature new faces.
Kita belum tentukan, tapi seperti biasalah kurang lebih.
Woman?
Kurang lebih 20%, 10%, 20% macam itulah.
The completion of the construction of the 28.5-kilometre Julau alignment of the Pan-Borneo Highway project at a cost of 537.4 million ringgit will be a new chapter in Sarawak's economic growth, said Senior Works Minister Dato Sri Fadilah Yusof.
Fadilah said the alignment would expand the transport network between towns and districts to potential growth centres such as ports, industrial areas and commercial centres in the largest state in Malaysia. He said this in his speech at the opening of the Julau alignment of the Pan-Borneo Highway today. The opening ceremony was launched by Sarawak Chief Minister Dato Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg. Julau alignment is one of the 3 alignments under Work Contract Package 7, which encompassed the construction of a road from the Bintangor Junction to the Sungai Kuau Bridge, stretching 75 kilometres in the central area of the state.
Meanwhile, Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu (PBB) Deputy President Dato Amar Douglas Uga Ambas has advised Tarat voters to continue supporting its incumbent Dato Roland Sagawi if he is re-nominated by PBB to defend the seat. The Deputy Chief Minister described Roland as a capable and hard-working leader, and it would be a big loss if Tarat voters choose to reject him.
Roland is also Uga's Assistant Agriculture Modernisation, Native Land and Regional Development Minister. Uga said Tarat, as well as the Syrian division, would stand to enjoy more progress if all Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS candidates are given the mandates to lead the government again after the coming 12th state election. On the election, Uga said it was very important for GPS as it will be the first time that a coalition of local political parties are facing an election on their own with their own symbol. Meanwhile, on the decision to hold the state election as soon as possible, Uga said now is the most opportune time as the state is expected to face the monsoon season in January and February next year, in addition to the fear of a possible emergence of a new COVID-19 variant. Nonetheless, the former Sarawak Disaster Management Committee chairman advised everyone not to be complacent and let the guard down, as well as to observe the current SOPs and the SOPs for the election.
In other developments, Deputy Chief Minister Dr. Ahmad Douglas Uga today reiterated his message to the youth to take up modern farming, noting the bright future and potential in the agro-entrepreneurs sector.
Uga, who is also the Minister of Agriculture Modernization, Native Land and Regional Development, added that the state GPS government is always encouraging the youth to take up the profession. He said there are various financial and material assistance as well as trainings provided by the government, such as fertigation and hydroponic systems for vegetables and fruit farming, breeding of livestock and fish. He said agro-entrepreneur had a vital role to play in the whole supply chain, as the state aimed to be a net exporter of food and food products by the year 2030. And to allow this to happen, it needed to transform its agriculture into a technology-driven sector helmed by the youth. He stated that last year, Sarawak had exported live pigs and pork products worth 100 million ringgit to Singapore, in addition to batang-eyed tilapia fish, durian and durian paste, which are also exported to China. Earlier, Uga was speaking at the Agriculture Community Outreach Program, or AgriCop, for Tarat at the Teng Bukap Community Hall in Serian.
Setiap pilihan dilakukan dengan penuh teliti. Setiap tindakan membantu pembinaan ekonomi, menggalas tanggungjawab bersama kita memajukan industri tempatan dan membawa sinar kepada mereka yang memerlukan. Barang baik, barang kita.
Hai, saya Nak Zainal. Menjadi seorang ibu sangat memerlukan kesabaran dan tenaga. Semua perlu disediakan untuk anak-anak agar hari mereka sempurna. Tak perlu lagi risau tentang kualiti. Semestinya barangan Malaysia lebih selamat, lebih terjamin. Saya tetap dengan barangan Malaysia.
Kita mesti tahu ilmu-ilmu dalam rumah tangga lah. Macam mana nak treat your isteri, what do and don'ts. Ilmu agama yang paling penting lah. Sebab benda-benda macam tu, tanpa ilmu agama, mungkin kita akan dah tersesat jauh.
Kita memang boleh jadi seorang pemimpin keluarga yang baguslah bagi kami.
Saksikan Merami Cinta hanya di TVS, saluran 122 Astro dan MyTV.
Polis tidak akan berfiksin items kerana bak kandang menua pukul kuantung email tiada yang mahu mereka. Terutama di kawasan ujung email的到来 Adakah caranya Indonesia and Malaysia?
Meskipun reda dengan Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera.
Warnailah hidupmu, tampilkanlah bakat baru. Sarawak pasti maju, menginspirasi duniamu. Oh, TVS. Oh, TVS. Oh, TVS. Inspirasi duniamu.
Welcome back to the Nightline. Now this just in on the Malacca state election development. Barisan Nasional or BN Chairman Dr. Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi will introduce an anti-hopping enactment following the party's win in the Malacca state election. He described the win as a clear sign from the people who aspires to have a political stability for the state. The first move to stabilize the national politics starts in Malacca, he added. And now on to the COVID-19 development. Sarawak today recorded 255 new COVID-19 infections, with 97.3% or 248 cases classified under categories 1 and 2, while only 7 cases were reported to be involving lung infections and classified under categories 3, 4 and 5. The Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, SDMC, announced that with the new COVID-19 cases recorded today, the cumulative number of cases in Sarawak now stands at 249,091 cases. The SDMC also revealed that 4 deaths were recorded in the state between 8/13 and 19 November 2021. From the total deaths, a fatality each was recorded in Limbang, Sri Aman, Bintulu and Sibu, where all the cases involved those aged between 40 and 70 years old. The SDMC also announced that no new clusters was registered in the state today. And now on to the next update. A rare species of a migratory owl was surrendered to Sarawak Forestry Corporation SFC Mary Branch by a member of the public today. The short-eared owl, or its scientific name Oceophlemius, is a protected species in Sarawak with few recorded sightings in the wild. According to a post on SFC's Facebook, the owl was released back into the wild after it underwent health checks. According to its Chief Executive Officer Zulkifli Muhammad Aton, the owl is a protected species under the Wildlife Protection Ordinance 1998. Members of the public with information on the wildlife encounters can contact the SFC hotline at the numbers shown. Increased antimicrobial resistance, or AMR, is a worrying threat around the world, including in Malaysia, as it can cause incurable diseases and increase the risk of morbidity and death. Now, as such, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the death rate due to stubborn bacterial infection in patients treated in hospitals was double that of patients with common bacterial infection.
It is estimated 700,000 deaths globally each year are linked to antibiotic resistance issues, and if uncontrolled, is expected to increase to 10 million by 2050. The health minister said so in his speech in conjunction with World Antimicrobial Awareness Week held virtually today. Khairi added that the existence of over 100 antibiotics, either bactericidal to kill bacteria or bacteriostatic to stop bacterial growth, had helped especially to speed up the healing process, but the improper and widespread use of antibiotics has created a new problem of antibiotic resistance. He said AMR occurs when bacteria no longer respond to antibiotics and are ineffective in treating infections. Additionally, stubborn bacteria could spread through infection from one person to another or through consumption of contaminated food or beverages, exposure to environmental contaminants, and eating livestock-based foods containing high antibiotic residues. As such, Khairi called on every member of the community to play a role in ensuring that antibiotics are used rationally and prudently to reduce AMR incidents. He said the community should understand that not all diseases are caused by bacterial infections.
The Ministry of Communications and Multimedia, KKMM, together with the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, will drive the development of MSC 2.0 to boost the country's digital economy and attract more digital investment. Its Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said that the decision was made during the 4th meeting of the National Digital Economy and 4th Industrial Revolution Policy Council, chaired by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob recently. Anwar stated that MSC 2.0 aims to expand the digital focus sector nationwide and catalyze new areas of development to generate high-income jobs. It also aims to support and promote the widespread digitalization across all economic activities in Malaysia and also bridge the digital divide to achieve equitable distribution of wealth. Anno said that MSC Malaysia, which is one of the main pillars of the country's digital economy, was established in 1996 to develop a conducive digital economy ecosystem by nurturing local ICT champions and attracting global investment. He said that the effort had also aided in the promotion of digital adoption in Malaysia and the increase of skilled talent in the country. MSC 2.0 also involves incentive improvements and the MSC Malaysia Bill of Guarantee, new branding and location expansion for MSC to promote activities nationwide. To kickstart the resumption of the vaccinated travel lane VTL between Malaysia and Singapore, AirAsia will operate a 7 times weekly flight schedule from Kuala Lumpur International Airport 2 or KLIA 2 and Changi Airport beginning November 29, 2021. The budget carrier said more routes from other cities in Malaysia will be added and frequencies increased accordingly as travel demand grows in line with the reopening of more leisure destinations in the near future, subject to approval from the authorities.
AirAsia Malaysia Chief Executive Officer Riyad Asman said the resumption of travel to Singapore signifies great progress of international travel in the region. Meanwhile, Singapore Tourism Board's Executive Director for Southeast Asia, John Gregory, said the VTL scheme is a significant milestone to allow gradual resumption of travel between Singapore and Malaysia. He added, Singapore stands ready to welcome the return of Malaysian travelers through key partners like AirAsia. Fully vaccinated travelers from Malaysia who wish to travel to Singapore must meet the requirements set by the Singaporean government prior to purchasing their flight tickets and upon arrival.
And now on to our crime development. A 30-year-old man was arrested by the police on Wednesday for causing a fight in Kota Sentosa last September. He was caught at a restaurant in Batukawa after attacking his victim with a group of men armed with machetes and golf clubs, causing severe injuries to the victim, who is in his 40s.
According to Padawan District Police Chief Superintendent Abang Zainal Abidin Abang Ahmad, investigations revealed that the fight was due to an alleged family problem. Following a background check, the perpetrator has a history of 10 criminal records for drugs and 3 other criminal activities. Police also seized a motorcycle, believed to be stolen, a smartphone, and 1 cockfighting spur. The case is now being investigated under Section 325 of the Penal Code for voluntarily causing injury with the use of dangerous weapons or methods. Abang Zainal also added that the police are currently tracking down the remaining suspects.
Biasiswa khas bidang kedoktoran merupakan salah satu usaha kerajaan untuk melahirkan 200 doktor terlatih tempatan dalam tempoh 10 tahun. Ketua Menteri Sarawak Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Patinggi Abang Zohari Tun Openg mengakui bilangan doktor di Sarawak amat sedikit berbanding jumlah penduduk yang sedia ada. Sebanyak 100 juta ringgit telah diperuntukkan melalui biasiswa Yayasan Sarawak khusus untuk bidang kedoktoran. Pada tahun 2018, seramai 40 orang pelajar tahun pertama program perubatan UNIMAS telah menerima biasiswa ini. Setiap pelajar diperuntukkan RM500,000 bagi tempoh 5 tahun pengajian. Sejajar dengan usaha untuk memenuhi keperluan doktor di Sarawak, kerajaan negeri berharap agar penerima biasiswa ini dapat menyumbang kepakaran mereka setelah tamat tempoh pengajian nanti.
Mary, hari tu nak grand opening untuk hadiah tahniah.
Setinggi tinggi tahniah you cakap. Lelaki tadi buah hati kau.
Mungkin.
Kau janji Ria mau call.
Aku agak kau dah kahwin, Munsik. Dah mau kahwin. Fahal kau pola semua tak?
Aku tahu yang kita baru kenal sehari, tapi
kita sebenarnya dah pernah kenal sebelum tak.
Bila masa?
欢迎来到家有大厨，我是 Christy，
我是 Bryce，
跟我们一起与不同的厨师学习如何烹饪多元种族的美味健康佳肴。
从菜巴萨到餐桌前。在这一局中，我们将与厨师 Eric 一起烹饪美味佳肴，
千万别错过哟！
Thank you for staying with me. Now we are back with more updates on the Malacca state election earlier. Now, following the Barisan Nasional win for the Malacca state elections, Dr. Sri Sulaiman Muhammad Ali will be swearing in as the Chief Minister of the state tomorrow. Additionally, Barisan Nasional BN will be proposing 5 enactments that will be inclined towards the transformation and empowerment of the political stability in Malaysia. This was announced by the party's chairman, Dr. Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, during its maiden press conference after reclaiming their win in Malacca. As previously mentioned, the first enactment to be introduced is the anti-hopping enactment. And now on to our world affairs. About 100 migrants was detained after attempting to cross the Poland-Belarus border into the European Union, according to Polish Defense Ministry. On their Twitter post, the ministry said the migrants were throwing stones at soldiers in order to divert attention from a nearby crossing attempt, and at the same time accusing Belarusian guards for damaging parts to the razor wire border fence.
Polish authorities said they recorded 501 attempts to cross the border on Wednesday alone. Around 2,000 migrants remained camped at the border. Previously, European countries have accused Minsk of flying thousands of migrants and pushing them to cross the border illegally as a tactic to punish Europe for sanctions imposed over a Belarusian crackdown on pro-democracy protesters. These migrants who are now camped out in the woods as the winter approaches are suffering from frost and exhaustion and barred from entering or returning to either country. At least 8 have died since the crisis started last summer.
And imposed temporary restrictions on fuel and non-essential travel on Friday, November 19, to ease supply chain disruptions and support recovery work after floods and mudslides destroyed roads, houses and left thousands stranded in the Western Canadian province. The orders announced by Deputy Premier Mike Farnworth in a briefing limits people in some areas, including the Vancouver Island, to 30 litres of fuel per visit to a gas station until December 1st. Non-essential travel along severely affected highways will also be prohibited. The storms, which started on Sunday, November 13, forced the closure of the Trans Mountain Pipeline and cut 2 critical east-west rail lines. Farnworth said the province was also working with the federal government to import fuel via alternate ways, including by truck and barge from the United States or neighbouring Alberta. Hours before the restrictions were announced, the flood-battered province received some good news when CP said work to repair damaged infrastructure would continue non-stop and service should be restored in the middle of next week. And that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. And as always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Shosha Metro, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend.